Hello everybody and welcome back to another Azur Lane video. Now this video is just a new concept or a new thing I'm going to be doing for Azur Lane. I'm not sure if I'm going to make an actual series about this, but I want to see if this would actually turn out well. So this is my first time trying to do this type of video, so stick with me. This may be a long one because considering what we're trying to review here, it's going to be pretty long. So without further ado, let's get right on in. Hello everyone, this is just a personal review or overview about the recent rerun of the Scherzo of Iron and Blood event in Azur Lane. Keep in mind folks, this is not going to be your usual how-to guide, but rather a personal opinion about this event. I may give out a few pointers out and some certain statistics, but I'm not going to be your regular text-to-speaks YouTuber making guides on the Azur Lane videos. Yeah, I'm calling you out, all you frickin' Azur Lane YouTubers who try to use text-to-speech instead of actually using their personal voice, because most of the Azur Lane YouTubers out there are 99.5% robot than actually human. So let's get on with the actual video. This video will also cover a bunch of stuff about this event. This will basically give you a rundown or review of the plot of the event. So spoilers if you guys have not finished the event or in the main plot of it. So we're gonna be covering a lot of stuff today. So I'll basically bring out the plot of the event, the most important game features added to the game for this event, and also give us some pointers here and there. Well, I'll also give my personal overall opinion about the event as a whole. So stick around for the video for that. Without further ado, let's begin with the plot of this event. Alright, now so this event is probably one of the most biggest plot-driven events in all of Azur Lane. So this is going to be a rather long review of the plot, so if you guys don't want to see this part of the video, there will be a little probably section where I'll probably get to the next part of this video. So if you guys want to listen to the plot, stay around here because we're going to be discussing about it. The Scherzo Iron Blood event is based off the original Battle of the Denmark Strait in World War II, but it also has its own little twist added to fit in with the Azur Lane setting. The Battle of the Denmark Strait was a series of skirmishes that led to the sinking of the British battlecruiser HMS Hood and the Kriegsmarine battleship KMS Bismarck. In a nutshell, the Kriegsmarine sends the KMS Bismarck to intercept Allied merchant shipping. This was known as Operation Rheinübung for the Kriegsmarine. However, the Royal Navy had a word with the Germans about attacking their convoys, so it basically ended up to where the KMS Bismarck became one of the most important targets to destroy in the Royal Navy. Like, seriously, the Bismarck was actually, at one point during this battle, became like the most highly valued target to destroy within World War II. So you can see how important this ship was to the Royal Navy back in this time period. Most of the memories and stages within the Azur Lane event follow the overall timeline of the battle, so let's get on with the actual plot. The plot begins with the leader of the Iron Blood, Bismarck, preparing for the faction for their most anticipated operation in the war. It was a time they showed the true power of the Iron Blood and the Crimson Axis, as they waited for a long time for this opportunity. Unfortunately, the Royal Navy has intercepted this operation and decided to make their moves in retaliation. In the early dawn of the operation, Prince Eugen summarizes off-screen events after fighting their first skirmish with the Royal Navy. At this time, Bismarck and Eugen had finished up a brawl with the Prince of Wales and Hood, leaving Hood's out of commission and Wales fleeing southeast. Eugen suggests Bismarck that they should slow down due to bad weather, but Bismarck insists to continue pushing forward. Later on, Prince Eugen spots the cruisers Suffolk and Norfolk is trying to relay their location to the rest of the Royal Navy. With Bismarck's consent, she goes after the cruisers. After scaring off the cruisers, Bismarck reports that her overall injuries are worse than she originally thought, so she orders Eugen to continue the operation without her as she heads back to port for repairs. Eugen shares her concerns of leaving Bismarck alone, but they eventually part ways. In the third movement, Bismarck is greeted with a siren known as Observer. Observer offers a new sort of weapon they developed to aid her against the might of the Royal Navy. They believe that the Royal Navy will ultimately destroy Bismarck and the Bismarck has no guarantee of actually surviving the fight. So they're trying to use her as a guinea pig for their experiments with this so-called power of theirs. Bismarck only cares about protecting Ironblood and does not want to be involved with the Siren's experiments, but she realized that she has no choice but to accept the offer given to the Siren in order for their protection of Ironblood and her comrades. Not long after, Victorious, a Royal Navy carrier, rediscovers Bismarck. The battleship King George V orders the Victorious to launch her airstrike against Bismarck. Bismarck spots enemy aircraft and attempts to retaliate. Victorious reports a direct hit on Bismarck, but doesn't seem to have any effect on her. King George V compliments Victorious on the airstrike, but is impressed on how tough the Bismarck is. And keep in mind, I'm sorry if I keep saying like Bismarck over and over again, the Bismarck, because I'm not used to calling them like actual names, because, you know, ships, waifus, you know, all that general stuff. She stresses the fact that they need to slow down Bismarck before she reaches friendly waters, or else it will be very difficult to continue the fight. Victorious then reports a message from Force H that they will be arriving on the scene in about 30 minutes to make their run on Bismarck. We are then given a flashback of a previous memory setting a few days back before the operation. Ironblood submarine U-556 finds and introduces herself to the Bismarck. 556 sees Bismarck as a role model and asks her for her Bismarck's blessings as she was about to embark on her first sortie. 556 finds Bismarck rather to be quite friendly, considering that the other members find Bismarck rather reserved and hard to approach. Bismarck is distraught to see how she was looked upon as such, but excuses herself from 556, acknowledging 556's wish. On the day of her first sortie, 556 is concerned about Bismarck's promise to her. Her sister, U-557, excuses Bismarck that she may have forgotten her promise because she's a busy woman. Before they depart, 556 spots a Manju band forming alongside with Bismarck. Bismarck rallies the band and passes off her blessings to 556 and hopes for great service to Ironblood. 556 was ecstatic for herself and promises to not let Bismarck down. She then asks to call Bismarck lower, to which Bismarck reluctantly accepts. Before she leaves the shipyard, 556 hands down to Bismarck a certificate of sponsorship, to which says that the 556 vows to protect Bismarck no matter what matter the case would be. As we shift back towards the present, Force H arrives introducing the battlecruiser Renown and the aircraft carrier Ark Royal as they offer Bismarck to surrender to the Royal Navy. Bismarck is impressed with the new recruits but refuses to give her up her fight against them. As Bismarck continues to engage, Ark Royal sends down another airstrike to Bismarck's blind spot. To her surprise, Bismarck receives a hit to her rigging, causing her to lose maneuverability. Force H then relays the wounded battleship's damage and requests reinforcements on their position. Renown tries to cease Bismarck's resistances, but once again, Bismarck refuses and mentions that she has her own comrades and a dream to protect. She vows that as long as she still has the resolve and ammunition to fire, she will not give up. As the rest of the Royal Navy arrives to brawl with Bismarck, Bismarck struggles against the intense firepower of the Royal Navy. Bismarck begins to lose hope as she believes she has lost the initiative. As the Royal Navy closes in to finish off Bismarck, we are interrupted by a Siren fleet led by Tester, who doesn't want Bismarck to sink just yet. Tester explains to Bismarck that she wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her interfering. Tester is surprised to see that Bismarck hasn't used their weapon they gave to her in order to retaliate against the fight against the Royal Navy. She insists Bismarck to use their weapon so she can continue studying her for their experiments. Bismarck realizes that she does not need to use any special weapon as she feels there is no honor in fighting the enemy with an unfair advantage, so she rejects by firing at Tester. By an unknown Siren, Tester is then issued to execute the Awakening Protocol. With the Royal Navy and Sirens firing out, both sides notices strange anomalies within their battlefield, causing them to be unable to see a thing and losing the sight of Bismarck. The Royal Navy maintains their foothold until they are attacked with intense firepower from an unknown source. King George V notices this fire is melting away her battleship armor like nothing and warns the fleet to stray away. Shortly after, Bismarck reappears to the Royal Navy, but it is shown that the Bismarck is not all there. The Royal Navy fights this monster of a battleship until Bismarck attempts to self-destruct. This attempt brings Bismarck back to her old self, but in critical condition. Tester is fascinated by the actions that Bismarck made to forcibly reject the Awakening Protocol and reports these findings to her superiors. Bismarck warns Tester that although she has no clue what they were gaining from here, but she will not allow them to defile her honor as an Iron-Blood warrior. Although in no condition to fight, Bismarck reminds the Royal Navy that she still has no intention to fall under their hands. She attempts to fight back, but due to her injuries, she fails to even make a single hit. Fulfilling Bismarck's wishes, the Royal Navy reluctantly fires on the Bismarck with the intent to put her down. Bismarck slowly begins to accept her fate as she takes several blows from the enemy. In the last second, Bismarck gets a sudden change of heart and refuses to die and begs Observer to assure her what will happen to her people and Ironblood as a whole, as she doesn't want to die unless her people are safe. Bismarck then falls unconscious. With Bismarck out of commission, the Royal Navy sighs with relief in their victory. Although a costly one, King George V reminds them not to take this battle lightly, as they should learn from what they happened here in this battle. The Royal Navy then rejoices and returns home for repairs. In the last scene, U-556 is shown tracking down a distress signal to its source. 556 then discovers the signal is coming from Bismarck, and she hurries to come to her rescue. This marks the end of the Scherzo of Iron and Blood story. Now let's talk about the main in-game content within this event, as this event was a rerun of the original event. So let's get right on. In the first bit, we can already know, players were given an exclusive series of ships to pull out in the event's construction pool. They will use their wisdom cubes to build ships in hopes of pulling these event ships that are introduced to this event. Players were introduced to 3 smaller events for smaller rewards that could be of use for the player for their own benefit. In the Banquet of Iron and Blood, during the Scherzo of Iron and Blood event, players will be able to collect Iron Blood coat of arms in order to receive small prizes as they reach to a new phase. This includes the exclusive U-556 Party Night skin. In Science Rules, every day players will have to complete 2 specific missions in which they will receive new prizes and awards. They must complete 9 days worth of event missions to get the exclusive U-73 limited outfit. In the small event known as One Small Promise, players will get to play the special stage of U-556 by obtaining 7 U-556 medals to unlock the Unfulfilled Promise equipment. Now, this is the stage in this sort of event sort of actually fills in with the whole plot of the actual main storyline, so keep in mind of that. So this gives the perspective of U-556 during her first sortie ever for Iron Blood. Another important feature is that players now have a limited exchange shop to exchange coat of arms for various items, including the event ship King George V. For this event, players were given some returning event ships while also adding new ships to the pool. These event ships will be pulled from the usual event construction pool. For the returning event ships, first off we have Echo, a rare Royal Navy destroyer. She has a 5% drop rate in construction and a map drop in stages B1 through 3 and D1 through 3. Z-36, an elite Iron Blood destroyer, can be found as a 2.5% drop rate in the construction pool. U-73, an elite Iron Blood submarine, has a 2.5% drop rate in construction pool. Of course, U-556, another elite Iron Blood submarine that plays a significant role to the event plot, has a 2.5 drop rate in the construction pool, which players can attain. Now, I'm not sure if they're actually classified as event ships, but I need to bring this up to mind so people who are going to probably be posting in the comments about this. So I'm just going to bring them up to you. We also have and I'm sorry for mispronouncing these names. We have the Janelle and the Skanhorse battle cruisers. These are Iron Blood battle cruisers. They can only be pulled from map drops B1. Well, for Janelle, it'll be B1, B3, D1, D3, and SP. While the Skanhorse can also be pulled from B2, B3, D2, D3, and SP. These are beautiful Iron Blood battle cruisers, and it would be nice to have if you guys are trying to build a German fleet or an Iron Blood fleet for your sort of whatever you were trying to do in this game. Enter King George V, a super rare Royal Navy battleship. She also plays a significant role in the event plot. She has a 0.5% drop rate, which is rather low considering how hard she's a super rare battleship. However, most players find to just exchange coat of arms for her in the event exchange shop. So that's probably the main reason why she has such a low drop rate. And of course, this would not be the Scherzo of Iron and Blood event if it wasn't for Bismarck, a super rare Iron Blood battleship. One of the very few Iron Blood super rare battleships, she is only obtained through the construction pool with a 2% drop rate. Oh yeah, and let me just tell you, oh my god, out of all the event ships that I had to grab in this event, Bismarck was so flippin' hard to get. I'll talk about this later, but I just want to say that out of all the ships here, she was the most frustrating to get, honestly. I also mentioned there's also some new event ships in this rerun, since this is the rerun of the original Scherzo of Iron Blood event. We also have U-96, a super rare Iron Blood submarine. She has a 2% drop rate just like the Bismarck. And finally we have Z-26, another elite Iron Blood destroyer. She is also can be dropped in construction pool with a 2.5% drop rate. To sum it up in a nutshell, all these event ships have very interesting attributes that you can bring to the table for your fleet, but for the sake of time, it would take a long time to go over each and every one of them, so we're gonna skip all the specific specifications about each of these ships, so we can get on to the rest of the video. Overall, I personally think Yostar has done a great job with this event. Although I wasn't there for the first time it was launched, I was nowhere disappointed with the event as I played through it. Now since my fleet is not strong enough, I may not be able to actually reach D3 before the event ends. Which is kind of a bummer, but I just wish I had more time to work on my fleet before I can grind through most of everything of the event. As a nerd for World War II history, it was nice to see how Yostar managed to imagine the Battle of the Denmark Strait, but making their own little twist to fit in with the Azur Lane story. The plot was really interesting and kept me grinding on the event. There was not a specific point to where I was actually bored or disappointed. It was really teary-eyed near the end of the whole storyline, and it kind of gives you a sentimental feeling within the end of the event, in my personal opinion. They did a great job representing the Bismarck and the thoughts of the Kriegsmarine during the actual battle, as it was a desperate fight back in the day. As for the new game content, there was plenty of things to do while grinding on this event, so there was never a dull moment for me while playing Azur Lane during the event. Because even if you were bored doing the actual main event, there's also all those smaller events that you can grind on or work on something else to get your benefits or more new equipment for yourself. Which I personally think it's nice to have smaller events in the midst with the actual original event to keep yourself motivated to continue on with the grinding on this special event. I still remember the painfully bad luck I had with the event pool to get Bismarck. Out of all the event ships, of course it would be the Bismarck to get that would be so hard to grab despite its 2% drop rate. Seriously, you have no idea how many Wisdom's cubes was used to get her. I ended up getting a lot of U-96s and 5.56s, but no Bismarck pulls, which was really frustrating as I was trying to get this special ship. I even received a limited edition skin for the Bismarck, but I couldn't even get her until one lucky pull. Seriously, it was so much of a pain, but I was glad I actually managed to grab her before the event ended. Have I mentioned the original soundtrack for this event? It is a thrilling soundtrack just to listen to. I often use these tracks for background music for some of my videos because of how amazing these tracks were. Just listen to some of these. Yostar did a great job here, and they should be proud of it. I love this soundtrack, and it always gets me motivated, especially when during the special critical points of the story of this event. So hands down to seriously, great job to Yostar with this soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack, and I highly recommend it, even just for casually playing it through some other games. The Scherzo of Iron and Blood event has been known to be one of the most popular events in Azur Lane. Despite it being only a rerun, I was glad to take part of the event. I don't know when this video will actually be made, but I highly recommend getting on in this event before it ends on September 2nd. Overall, I will never forget about this event, and I can't wait to see some more classic events coming back, or perhaps new events similar to the level of this big event. thank you guys for watching this video. Sorry this was kind of a rather long one, but if you guys liked the video, please leave a like and feel free to give me some feedback about this video idea. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to go full through with it because this is definitely going to take a lot of work to do, and I'm hoping to get this video done before the event actually ends. But anyways, I'll see you guys then, everybody. If you guys like this content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.